Hello everyone, it's PotatoPikachu and we got a tier list today involving all the knives in CSGO. I was going to think of doing like an investing video before this, but there wasn't really much to talk about in terms of investing. I think I really covered it in the past few videos or so there's really no need to do it, and I thought, hey, let's talk about my opinion regarding all the knives in CSGO. I have my opinions too, so this is just my opinions on whether or not I think any of these knives are worthy on this list. Some of them are pretty good, a lot of them are decent, and there are a few exceptional garbage ones. Well, one in particular, and I'm pretty sure you all know what that is too. So let's just get into this fun time and just let's hear all the comments. If you have any problems with this, just comment it down below. I will attend to your needs. I will see what's right and what's wrong, but this is my opinion and hopefully you guys kind of agree. If you don't agree, then I don't care, whatever. So I think the obvious ones at the moment for me, I would say, is the butterfly knife. That's the first and foremost. We have the butterfly knife. I would say it's at trade me for it please. Oh, I almost forgot to talk about our tier list. We have trade me for it please. That's when you know you have a good knife. People want that knife and they wish for it to trade with you. We have the second tier, I like your knife. That's when someone just randomly comments in matchmaking or so, hey, you have a cool knife, I like it, pretty cool. Middle of the pack, we have cool beans, because cool beans, pretty cool, it's cool, that's okay. And a little down below, we have that's pretty it's okay, but it's eh. And then last but not least, we have the garbage. Just get out of here, it's straight up garbage. Don't ever use it, it's not worth it. But at the top, we do have the butterfly knife. I do think it is a bit overrated now. I used to like it more like back in the day when not too many people like really looked at it, but nowadays a lot more people like it, and I guess it's understandable because of how fun it is to just use in game, and I don't know, a lot of people like it, and it's a really clean looking knife as well. But another one I would say is the skeleton knife. This one is fairly recent. I think it was released back in 2020, last year or so, during Shadow Web with the Shadow Web knives. So I would say this quickly gone to the top of the list. I would say the animation is really fun. It's just a cool knife to use, and the overall aesthetic of it is pretty fire. Another one I would say is the M9 Bayonet. The M9 Bayonet is very iconic to the game in my opinion. I think it's one of those iconic knives and just everyone knows about it if you're in CSGO. It's really clean, it's the big brother to the Bayonet, and the animation is pretty simple, yet the knife looks spectacular. I think it's pretty cool, right? Pretty cool. I would trade for it. And for the next one, we have the Bayonet. I just talked about the M9, so it's just worthy to talk about the Bayonet. I would put it right here in I like your knife. It's not as great as the M9 in my opinion. It's justifiably so. Like, the Bayonet is like the younger brother to the M9, and the animation isn't as great as the M9, and it's not as like profound in game, but I think the Bayonet still looks really good. I do have one myself, so I am a bit biased, but I still think the Bayonet is pretty high up there. Another easy one we have right here is the navajo knife. The navajo knife is absolutely garbage. Get this knife out of here. If I see you using this in game, I'm just not going to talk to you. Insta-mute, because this knife is absolutely garbage. I would rather use the default knives instead of the navajo knife. There's just something about the navajo knife that's very clunky, and I don't know, it's just very weird and doesn't really work for me at all. Like, no wonder it's the cheapest knife in the game, for good reason. It's pretty bad. I would just take the default knives over this. Don't use this at all, please. And then for the bowie knife, I would say it's pretty eh. I would just say it's pretty eh. It's very big. I would say it's kind of awkward like to see in game, because like you're moving it too because of how big it is in game. Your arm is moving and stuff, so it's pretty weird. And when you're inspecting, if you're like on stretched or something, it's just you can't really see the entire knife, and I don't know. Something about it just is pretty eh in my opinion. It's not that great at all, and I would just pass on it. Moving on, we have the classic knife. I'd say I like your knife. I would say I like the animation a lot from this, and I know it's part of the older CS games and there's a lot of nostalgia to that, but I didn't even play the older games. I saw my brother play it a few times, but I never played the older games much, so I don't have any nostalgia factor to that. So I would say just pretty cool, although the stains on it do look pretty funky, and either way, it's still pretty decent, and I would say I like it. Moving on to the falcion knife, falcon, I don't know. I would say it's cool beans. I like this over the bowie knife simply because I like the animation a lot. Like when you're opening it and you're just spinning it around. I think that's pretty addicting to do. And just something about it. I would, like 2 years ago, I would say I put it at but now I think it upgraded a little bit. I don't know why, but it just looks pretty nice now. Like, I don't know, just looking at it in game, it does look pretty nice in my opinion. Going to the flip knife, I would say that's also cool beans. Honestly, I'm a bit torn on this. I would say to put it at cool beans or I like your knife, but it is a bit too plain. Like, it's pretty simple, but it is pretty clean as well. However, there is that simplicity factor to it, and it's really I guess. But I still think it's better than the bowie knife, so I can't put it in that tier at all. For the gut knife, I would also put it at that's pretty I don't think there's any other knife in the game that can really top the navajo knife in terms of pure garbage. So I think for the rest of these knives, none of them are ever going to get into the garbage category. That's just strictly for the navajo knife. So the gut knife can be here. I do like the animation when you take it out. It does look pretty fun. And although the gut knife is a bit thick, it's like the handle itself and the knife, it still is pretty decent, and I would say it's very The huntsman knife. It has a similar animation to the gut knife, and I would also put it at this category because although I would say it does look better than the gut knife and the bowie knife itself, it's just not really anything noteworthy to talk about. The huntsman knife is a bit too big, like it's a bit odd how it's shaped, and it's just not really anything noteworthy to talk about, so I would say it's pretty We have the karambit. It's pretty iconic to the game if I do say so myself. Very iconic, I think. And I would also put it to trade me for it, please. I think it's a really nice looking knife. The motion is very fluid in game, like when you're taking it out, and I really like that about the karambit, and maybe I'm just a bit biased, but I really like it. I like the animation, and it's just really fun knife to use. The nomad knife. This is also in a pretty category. The animation is a bit clunky, like you're taking it from one hand to the other, and although it's pretty funny that the guy's hand shakes while like you get stabbed by it or something, it still is like nothing really special. It does look a bit awkward in game in my opinion because of how like weirdly shaped it is. Like it's kind of tiny, but it's not too big, it's not too small, it's just at a weird angle in my opinion. I don't know. We have the paracord knife. I was actually momentarily like, I kind of forgot the name of it, so I had to quickly search it up. It's kind of not that noteworthy, but I would say it tops it. It's kind of a generic knife, so I would say it's just pretty cool beans in general. I think it's better than all the rest below it, so it does deserve that like higher tier. So it's pretty cool beans, and it's still a bit generic though, so it does get a bit boring. However, it's pretty long, pretty decent, and nothing really wrong with it. We have the shadow daggers, and they're infamously known as the butt plugs, and I would say it's at a pretty high you know what I'm saying? Like if there's like in between, I would put in between pretty and cool beans. Like I don't think I could put it here, but I'll put it at pretty I kind of like it over time. Like I used to really hate it because of how like dumb it looked, but now it does look pretty okay, but that's all I can say. The stiletto knife. The stiletto knife, I would say, is at cool beans. I do like the animation of it. I do think it's really fun to use, and although it is pretty skinny, it's still not a bad knife at all. Like I would still say it has that popularity to it, and I do think it does look better than the rest of the knives down here as well, so I would put it at cool beans. It's still not up there yet, like it can't get up here, but it's cool beans. We have the survival knife. This is also a pretty generic looking knife. Like the animation is also pretty generic, so this also has to go into the cool beans category. Can't really like add on to it. It's nothing really noteworthy about it, and although it has like some edges to it and stuff, it's still nothing really outstanding to it at all. The Ursus knife. This is also at cool beans. It has like a similar animation to the survival and the paracord. And honestly, the secondary animation to the Ursus knife kind of looks pretty odd to me. Like it doesn't really fit in my opinion, where he twirls it around his fingers. And although it is like, it's a pretty cool knife, but it's also pretty generic as well. And it's cool beans. Cool beans. Last but not least, we have the Talon knife. I would say this is the big brother to the karambit, same with like the bayonet to the M9. However, I would put it at I like your knife, because honestly, it's the animation, like when you first take it out, it's kind of weird in my opinion. Like, I don't know if I can explain it right, but when you take it out, it feels a bit clunky, it feels a bit slow when you're taking out, whereas on the karambit, it's more fluid and it's just like easy to take out and just looks very clean, whereas on the Talon, it just looks a bit slow, and I don't know, something about it is pretty weird. I would honestly, like a year ago, I would put this like lower, but now it does look a bit better after seeing it more and more in game as more people use it. It is a pretty good looking knife, and I would put it here as well. And that's my tier list. If you have a problem with this, I don't care. Well, you could say it in the comments below. Say it there, I'll comment and I'll respond there. But other than that, I would say this is my tier list to the CSGO knives in game. I would say this is pretty just like, it's in between, honestly. Like, I don't really know. This too, the flip knife is in between to I like your knife and cool beans as well, but I think everything else can stay as it is. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out, and I'm really thankful to all of you who just continue watching, and let's just continue to grow and grow, and hopefully this tier list satisfies you. Also, my socials will be in the links down below if you also want to check those out as well. But that's all for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm PotatoPikachu signing out. Peace.